I thought I would do a quick video here. We're printing a job that we don't do very often. It's using TPU. So it's kind of I'm in no way an expert at this, at 3D printing, but just for people that might be looking to use TPU, I've just done this successfully. So this is, what I've done, but I'm using a textured plate, and I did a configuration, a calibration for that, and then I set it up on the screen for the texture setting, and so that's all set. And then I just use the glue stick that came with the printers. From what I understand, you can use pretty much any kind of glue stick, any kind of school glue stick or whatever. The design takes up this whole area here, as you can kind of see the outline there. I just put a layer of the glue on there, and what that does is it helps for adhesion, but maybe strangely or abstractly or unexpectedly, it helps you remove it also. So this acts as kind of like a floured cookie pan or a floured baked cake pan. So if you don't put that on there, you'll have a real hard time getting that off. Now that's going to be a flat thing all the way across here, so that would be very difficult to get off. I have done some small things. I've done the tugboat. I've done that, and a few other smaller things that might be about this big, and they were very hard to get off if I didn't put the glue on there. So you don't really need it, I don't think, for it to stick on there necessarily, but definitely to take it off. I don't know if you'll ruin the plate. You might ruin the coating on here if you're trying to pry it up. So that's just a little hint on this. I'm not going to go into the settings and stuff, because that's something that you need to hone in on your own, as far as the temperature that you would need to use and all that stuff. And again, I'm not an expert with that, so I don't really know the specifics of flow rates and all that. So that's it. Okay, I got the filament loaded, and I checked the settings of the job. I don't think I changed a lot of things. I have some notes and things on when I did research for printing with TPU, but the things that it looks like I changed are the nozzle temperature for the first layer, and then 220 from, I think generally I print at 215, and then the other layers I did also 220. At the bed I'm doing at 60, and normally I've been doing my beds at 65. It seems like when I would do it at 60, or some STL files I would have jobs set up at 55, it would seem like I would get warping on the edges. And I just started doing all the jobs at 65 for the bed. And another hint, which is again just kind of a beginner type thing, but I don't think I was paying attention as much to the first layer when I was first doing the printing. Started doing printing 3 or 4 years ago, and when I run across some of the old prints, you'll see a lot of lines. The layer line, the lines will be a lot of gaps between them where the print head was too high, and you can just adjust that on the fly. Sometimes you need to do a recalibration, but I find that some jobs you'll have to do it, and some jobs you won't have to do it. I don't know why that is. You think the build plate is the build plate. So this isn't really a tutorial on how to do your adjustments. It's just that I feel that it's specific to your printer. I have 6 printers here, and they're like kids. There's certain things that some do and certain things that they don't do, as far as fine-tuning adjustments. So if you're looking at doing 3D printing, you're just going to have to really get in tune with your machine. It's not just a buy the machine, get some STL files and print. There's a lot of work to it. I would think these are the only printers I've ever worked with are these Prusa MKS Pluses, and I've seen posts about other printers, bamboo printers, all the different Creality printers, cheaper printers, whatever. It seems like the cheaper you go, there's more tuning that you need to do, and I think you need to do it more often. So as far as that, we've had some pretty good luck with these. We had 4 that we bought new, and I ended up buying this one and the one over here used for like $500, and they had they didn't have a ton of hours on them. I think the one may have had 80 hours or something, and the other one only, I forget what it had. And they've been working fine. So sometimes you need to spend a little more money and not have the troubles of constantly having to adjust things. So this is going here, and I'm gonna make sure that the first layer is nice, and this stuff is very, very flexible, so when you get those hairs on there, it's kind of hard to get them off. I didn't really find a good way to do that, because you can't I just torch them off for the PLA, because they're like fine hairs and they just basically disappear. These I have to kind of go through with like a file or a blade or something to kind of trim them off, so it's a little annoying. The reason you need to reconfigure a separate plate for the TPU is, if you look at the Z here, this is at 1.9, and for the PLA, I believe it's at 1.71, and then I adjust it from there, depending on if there's an area of the plate where the print head needs to be moved a little bit closer or a little bit further away. So when you have the texture plate stored, all those settings are there. Now when I do a reconfiguration for the printer, once I do some maintenance and cleaning, I'll do both of the plates over again and make sure that everything's still copacetic with the settings, especially if I'm changing the nozzle and that kind of thing. First layer is looking pretty good so far. It's hard to tell because the plate is very dark, but I don't see any gaps yet. Basically, you just can't get your print job going and then leave. It just seems whenever I do that, that's when something happens that needed to be adjusted, and then I get my final job and I have to make a judgment call on whether or not the surface is good enough to sell or not. So it's worth the time to wait for that and make sure that your bottom is going to be as smooth as possible. First layer complete, looks good all around. This printer area here, I also have a magnifying glass I can look down through. It's really hard to see sometimes with the dark filament and the dark plate. And this is shiny too, so it's really weird. Alright, just let this go and I'll come back with the finished product.
6 hours later.
Okay, this print finished not too long ago, and so I'm going to take that off. I don't have a tripod right here, but let's see. Unlike PLA, that's pretty rigid. It just bends with the thing, so I have to get underneath it, just kind of pulling it. And I also have a scraper. Kind of once you get it going, I think it'll come off. There we go. There it is. Even the edging here is pretty fastened. And that's it. And that's ready for the next time. This is the only thing I really print on here for with using the TPU. So now you can see all of the hairs. Let's see here. See all of the hairs in there. So I just use the torch and get in there and then see what's left. And I might have to go in and out with something to scrape each hole out. So that's kind of annoying, but that's basically it. I'm going to fill the torch up here. I just did a video on these canisters, and I bought this gauge filling nozzle here, and that fits on the back of the butane torch. And you literally takes like a second to fill it up. So you just put that on there. The gauge doesn't really mean anything. It just shoots quickly this way, but you're so quick it doesn't matter. And then you're done. And it's well worth doing it that way. I've gone through quite a bit of butane. It seems like it takes that a long time to fill up in here, and it seems like there's a lot of waste. The only issue, which is manageable, is the flame is really big. So you can adjust it. But it's still pretty big compared to the butane, which would be about this big. But I like to have it kind of big like that, and it's not as hot with the yellow in there. And with the big flame, I'll go in through the prints and just burn off all the hairs. So we'll get our, now you can really see the hairs on there. It's like cobwebs. So we'll see how this turns out here. Another thing, the gas gets used up pretty quickly too here if you're doing a lot of something that takes a little while. But you can fill it back up in a couple seconds, so I think it's a pretty good trade-off. I've filled this up probably more like 15 times so far. And I don't think I could fill it that many times up with the butane bottle. So that's pretty good. There's some rough areas inside there. So I might have to scrape them out with something to bore it out inside there. But that's not too bad. This bottom looks pretty nice. I'll just wipe it down and get that glue off of there. Nice and smooth. Alright, I completely cleaned it up. I got most of the fragments of filament from the holes. Cleaned the glue off the back here. So it came out pretty good. It took a little while I used a round file and had to keep filing and working it out and then putting the flame to it. And so there's tiny little nubbies in there, but they're just really tight in there. You can't get them out unless you use a little needle nose pliers.